Welcome to 2026. Versant, the Comcast spinoff, has seen its value plummet. TV OEMs are pursuing AI. NFL games set a streaming record in 2025, and Hulu is being sunsetted. Listen on.
And welcome to this week's edition of Inside the Stream. This is Will Richmond from Video News, and that was Colin Dixon from End Screen Media. Colin, Happy New Year, and Happy New Year to all of our listeners.
Yeah, Happy New Year to you, and Happy New Year to our listeners. As you said, been a great break from the business of streaming TV, and we're back. And we're going to cover quite a lot of ground today. We're going to start with, Versant, but we've got 4 stories we want to dive into, so we should probably just get on with it. So you're going to take us away with Versant, right?
Yeah, not such a happy new year for Versant, which our listeners will know is the newly spun off company from Comcast. That spinoff occurred earlier this week, and stock started trading at $45 and has done nothing but go down since its debut, closing today. And we're recording here on Wednesday, late day this week. Closing at around $33. So Versant is down about 25% or so from its starting point. And listeners will know that Versant is comprised of the most of the NBCU cable networks, including Golf and CNBC, and now newly rebranded MS Now, plus other activities like Fandango, etc. So you and I had followed this since it was originally announced, Colin, and watched the investor presentation in December. I don't think either one of us was that convinced about what the growth opportunities are for Versant. And on the other side of the coin, of course, cable networks continue to get dragged down by cord cutting and streaming and everything else. So I don't know. You think Versant's going to reverse its slide here at some point?
Well, I'm about the worst person in the world to ask about stock tips there, Will. I've had a very, very poor track record. But this is basically Wall Street's vote on what they think about the prospects for the company are, of course, because, people buy on where they think the company's going to go. And this really took me back, Will, I think we both sat down and watched the Versant presentation in December, which was sort of its announcement to Wall Street, its presentation to Wall Street about what the business was going to be. So this is really a vote on what Wall Street thinks about the prospects for the business is, and it's not good, right? And neither you or I were convinced by, I think, their pitch. What it really boils down to here is, look, we know what the television networks are worth. They're spinning off a bunch of billions of dollars, and they are very cash-rich business, but it's also declining very rapidly, as we've talked about, due to cord cutting. So this is really a vote on, did you believe what Versant was spinning as the growth businesses will replace and increase the revenue that's being driven by those TV networks? And basically, the Wall Street is saying, no, I don't believe it either. They've really got 3 sorts of businesses going on here. They've got the Golf Now indie cinema businesses, which you can really talk about platforms for media business. That's what they are. Those platforms help both cinemas and golf clubs run their business, as it were. They're another type of business. Obviously, you've got the free TV networks, which is the Diginets and the Fast networks. They've got some of that going on, and there's a few of those. And there's also some stuff going on in Fandango there with Fasts, where Fandango is expanding its free content. And then the third business, of course, is transitioning the television brands into the online world. And they've got 2 things going on there. They've got MS Now, which is their subscription service for news. And then they've got CNBC, which is a retail business D2C business there for their financial news networks. So basically that's what they've got. And I didn't think that it looked like that clutch of businesses, which are somewhat disconnected. It feels a bit all over the place, a bit cobbled together. I didn't feel like that was going to grow fast enough to compensate for the decline in the traditional TV business. Sounds like Wall Street agrees with me, Will.
I think that's right, and we'll see if Wall Street digests this and comes to any other points of view anytime soon. But we'll be keeping track of Versant. Let's go on to, this is CES week, and neither of us are there, but we've been following the news, and you've been following some of the news around what TV OEMs are announcing related to AI.
I am, and sort of AI is a fairly big theme at CES this year, as I think we were expecting. It's kind of all over the show, according to the press that I've been looking at. Our interest, of course, is more specifically in what the television manufacturers are saying. Now, in the past, we've talked a lot about TV OSs. I got to tell you, Will, the TV manufacturers aren't talking about TV OSs at all. They're talking about AI on their TVs. For example, Samsung, they've got this thing they're calling Vision AI Companion. And what this thing is they're doing is it's really understanding the entertainment experience and allowing people to have casual, free-flowing conversations with their television about what they're seeing. So it's basically understanding what you are looking at and being able to respond to questions based on that. So the examples they give, for example, if you're watching a cooking show, you could say, tell me the recipe for the food that I'm seeing right now. And apparently this system understands what you're watching and will be able to provide you with a recipe for it. It's also understanding you as a person. And so that means it will be able to, for example, recommend music based on your mood. It can place food orders for you. Now, it wasn't, none of this was very clear about where this information was coming from and how they were making the decisions. So, for example, knowing what you're watching, Will, I'm not sure if what they're doing is interpreting, they're actually watching the video with you, or if they have somehow processed the information before and are loading it from somewhere else. It's just not clear to me how this is working. But either way it's working, it's pretty interesting functionality. And one of the things that we're really looking for here, or I'm really looking for from smart TVs, is for them to be, smart so that you can have a casual conversation with them and they actually respond and do something interesting. The other thing I wanted to mention was Hisense. Hisense announced a new, sounds like AI layer on their smart TVs, which they're calling V. Just the letter, a big V is how they're branding it. There's really no other information going on here. We couldn't find any information at their website, but this was in their presentation at CES. And basically, this is doing very much similar to what Samsung is doing. It's customizing the experience. So they demonstrated when you turn the TV on in the morning, it knows you, so it knows you're going to want the weather and maybe the latest episode of the yoga session that you regularly do, stuff like that. It's getting you that information. They also talked about a feature which, again, short on details of how this is working, but they said that if a game is going on a different channel than you're currently watching, it can know that there has been a goal or a touchdown or something. It can notify you in time so that you can change channel and watch that goal or that touchdown. Again, no information on how they're doing this. It wasn't clear if they meant you could get over there and see the replay of the goal or touchdown, or if they were tapping into the inherent delay. I think there's now a 7 or 10 second delay between actually what's happening in a stadium and what's going on and you're actually seeing it. My suspicion is it's probably in time to see the replay. That's what they mean there, but they weren't exactly clear. So they're doing the very similar thing with V. These two things, and of course, LG was talking about its affectionate intelligence and how that was improving recommendations, and several other players were saying similar things like TCL. And as I was listening to all of this, Will, it really began to sort of gel for me that the next innovation layer, the real innovation layer now for television, has switched. It's no longer the TV OS. It is this AI layer that's being put on top of it. And that's pretty interesting because in many cases it's being powered not by the TV provider. It's being powered by folks like Google and Microsoft with Copilot and their AI LLMs, their big LLMs that are powering it. So that was the really interesting standout thing, I think, for me from CES with the smart TVs.
Yeah, so I'm going to concede that I'm not sure that I fully understand what these different OEMs are doing with AI, and I haven't yet really experienced AI on my smart TV. So at this stage, it still feels like that UI is critical to helping viewers find what they want to find. So no question AI will have a growing role in the future, but I think that the UI still has some runway here.
Yeah, I do too. And one of the things that I've always wanted and wondered why I wasn't seeing from TV interfaces is just it anticipating my regular viewing behavior. So, there are certain things that I watch at certain times, and I think many people are the same. Why doesn't the TV know this? And why doesn't it, when you turn on or it hits that time, why doesn't it just get you there like right away? Well, it turns out this is a data processing problem, and this is one of the things that AI is uniquely suited to solve. And it sounds like we're finally getting around to solving it. So maybe these smart TVs are finally going to get smart, Will.
Well, we'll see how that unfolds. But speaking of time has come, streaming sports seems like it has come fully of age. And you and I were closely following how the ratings turned out, particularly for the Christmas games that were on both Netflix and Amazon, and also Amazon's performance with Thursday Night Football, which they've had now for several years. And we'll just start with the Christmas Day performance. Netflix, with its first game, the Vikings and the Lions, 27.5 million viewers, up from last year's average of around 24 million. So Netflix strong there with their Christmas Day game. The other game pulled about 20 million, so not quite as strong. But big highlight there, of course, is that, and I watched both of these games, they were flawless from a live streaming perspective. So really strong performance there. And then Amazon, importantly, Thursday Night Football, those ratings were up strongly year over year, up 16% year over year from the 2024 series. And those ratings have continued to go up on TNF on Amazon. So again, 2025 full season, they're averaging 15.3 million viewers per game. That was up 16% over the prior year. It was actually up 29% versus 2023, when they had a full season average of about 11.9 million viewers. And compared to the first season of TNF on Amazon Prime, they were doing about 9.6 million viewers, so up 60% since the 2022 season. So those are impressive numbers. I'm not sure if there's one particular thing that Amazon is doing to have increased the viewership, but they said that this is the highest rating for Thursday Night Football for that package in the 20-year history that it's been offered in the market. So I think it sounds like they're just doing a number of things really well. And, I also wonder, Colin, and I don't have any data behind this, but I wonder if the rise in online betting has also really fueled some of the viewership of not just Thursday Night Football, but across the entire NFL, which of course also remains the highest rated programs across all of TV, not just sports, but all of TV. So again, not sure exactly what explains it, but certainly a big win for Amazon. And I also watched a number of those Thursday night games, and all delivered flawlessly. So kudos to Amazon for having figured out how to live stream and also produce these games really well, which is all being reflected in their viewership.
Yeah, and this really reinforces now these numbers. They're pretty much identical between streaming and traditional TV. And in fact, they're actually slightly higher when you take into account that many of the people that are watching the traditional TV numbers are actually watching streamed, because they're watching on one of the virtual MVPDs like YouTube TV. So I think the naysayers, the people that were saying that streaming couldn't scale to TV size audiences, I think we can firmly put that in to bed, that it's now absolutely delivering TV size audiences, and doing so with, in some cases, better quality than TV. Because remember, the infrastructure for traditional TV is still stuck at 1080p, and you can now get 4K streamed pretty handily through most platforms. And that means that you're now getting a better quality performance often through streaming than you are from traditional TV. So this is great news, and a very important, I think, achievement for the streaming industry.
Yeah, and I'll also just mention two other things quickly, Colin. That $27.5 million that the Vikings-Lions game delivered for Netflix on Christmas Day, that's the most streamed NFL game in history. Again, testament to the live streaming and production capabilities of Netflix. Other point I think worth mentioning is that we continue to see this sort of nibbling away at sports rights by various streaming services. And I think it's fair to say that these numbers that we're seeing, the performance, and also certainly the economics behind them, have to be helping to further whet the appetite of these streaming services to go after ever bigger packages of games as we go forward. And we know that the NBA will have games now, and Amazon will have games on Amazon. The NFL package isn't up for a number of years still, but I think they're going to start having discussions about their packages in the not too distant future. And when you look at these numbers, and also the ability of these services to deliver the production, the live stream, I think just reinforces the idea that we're going to see, whether it's Netflix or Amazon or others, coming more strongly to the table for rights.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, Netflix continues to say that it is not interested in bidding on full season rights for any of the premium sports, particularly in the US, which it considers to be severely overvalued. And, who can deny that with the crazy numbers that NFL is getting these days? But when you deliver these ratings, I guess, maybe there's some justification there. But anyway, I think we've probably talked about football enough. There was one other item we wanted to talk about, and that was that Disney has officially stated that it is going to shut down the Hulu app early in 2026. I think it's targeting February, to begin shutting it down in February. And that means that to watch Hulu content, you are now going to have to go to the Disney Plus app to watch it. And Hulu will be available there in a tile as it is today. They claim that nothing will be lost, that all your viewing history will be copied over if you're not using Disney Plus. So nothing will be lost. You'll just have to load that new Disney Plus app if you don't already have it, and then begin to watch just as you have in days past. It's not clear how the interface will function if you haven't subscribed to Disney Plus, or even if you can not subscribe to Disney Plus and get Hulu. That's not been clarified yet. I assume that you will be able to subscribe to Hulu separately. And in that case, well, I don't know what it will look like at all, but I guess we'll find out when this actually happens. And it's also not clear if they're going to adjust pricing at that time as well. That's not clear. But the really big unanswered question here, Will, is what's going to happen to Hulu Plus Live. Of course, that's the platform's virtual MVPD. It is the second largest virtual MVPD in the US today, with about half the subscribers, just under half the subscribers of YouTube TV. So it is a very important platform, but it kind of doesn't fit. It doesn't fit inside of Disney Plus, and it's very unclear what's going to happen to that. There is, of course, the wrinkle there that Fubo is now involved here and is negotiating on behalf of Hulu Live for its channel packages with the programmers. Disney is responsible for everything else, including ad sales, etc. But maybe it doesn't fit anymore, and maybe that could see an expansion of the relationship with Fubo, where Fubo shoulders more of the responsibility. I don't know. It's not clear. They haven't stated what's going to happen there. But anyway, Hulu, the app, is going away.
End of an era, right?
It is an end of an era. And boy, it seems, I don't know how I feel about this, Will. I really don't like or use Disney Plus very much at all. And being forced to go in there, I don't know if that does anything for me at all. I think it will start putting stuff under my nose that I'm really not interested in. But I don't know. Let's see what if they can use some of that AI that they've been playing with and make sure I continue to get the experience that I'm really interested in seeing.
Fair enough. Well, we have covered a pretty decent amount of ground here for our first podcast of 2026. And these are all stories we'll be following as the year unfolds. So unless you have any other thoughts, Colin, I think we'll wrap it at that.
I think we're done for today, Will.
Okay, well, thanks everyone for listening in on this first podcast of 2026. And we'll see you all again next week.
Inside the Stream is a production of In-Screen Media and Video News. All rights reserved.